Good morning everybody and welcome to today's English lesson. So first of all you will need your English book and a pen, and you will need to write down today's date and the learning objective to identify word classes and use prepositions. Pause until you have done that. So when we write, each word has a different function or a different job in the sentence. Words which have the same function belong to the same word class. So have a look at the words that are on this screen. Which of these words do you feel like do similar jobs in a sentence? So they won't mean the same thing, but if I was to put them into a sentence, it would do a similar job in that sentence. Have a little think. You don't need to write anything down, just have a think about it. So, nouns are naming words for things, animals, people, places, and feelings. Verbs are words used to describe an action, occurrence, or a state. We often describe them as doing words, action words. And adjectives are words which describe nouns. So if we have a look at these words again, I've chosen words and I've put them into their different word classes. I wonder if this is how you sorted your words at the beginning too. So words like apple, bag, puddle, they're fairly obviously nouns. They're all things that you can touch. But then we start to get to maybe names of people or places, Mrs. Daddy, Manchester, and also ideas or feelings like happiness. Even though you can't touch happiness, it's still a noun. It's what we call an abstract noun. When we look at the words in red, typed, ran, eat, screams, mixed, they're all actions, they're all doing words, they're all verbs. It doesn't matter that some of them are in the past tense, like typed, and some of them are in the present tense, like eat. They're still verbs. They still do the job in the sentence of telling you what's happening. And then let's look at our green words. Daring, jagged, horrendous, violent, luscious. These all describe nouns, so they are adjectives. So we're going to finally start having a look at the story of Beowulf. Now today I'm afraid we're only going to look at the first page, but we'll look at more this week. So let's read the first page. Chapter 1, The Great Hall. Long, long ago, Denmark was a wild place. Gruesome monsters roamed the misty moors. At night, they howled and growled and shrieked and snarled. So in your books, I would like you to find 5 nouns, 6 verbs, and 3 adjectives. Now, it's up to you how you want to write these. You could either do a list of your 5 nouns, a list of your 6 verbs, and a list of your 3 adjectives. Or, if you'd prefer, you could write out the sentences and you could underline them in 3 different colours and make a little key. So it's up to you how you present it in your work, as long as it is neat, and it's really easy for me to see which are the nouns, which are the verbs, and which are the adjectives. So pause until you're ready to move on. So let's see, did you find the same things as me? So I've got my nouns. Denmark is a place. Place, again, even though it's not saying a specific place, it's describing what Denmark was like. It is a noun. Monsters, moors, and then night. Again, night is not something that you can touch, but it's an idea, so it's still a noun. Let's have a look at our verbs. So we've got some fairly obvious ones to start with. Roamed, that's when you're like wandering about. Howled, growled, shrieked, and snarled. And then I wonder if you spotted this one or if it tricked you. Was. The verb to be in the past tense is was. So was is also a verb. And then we've got our adjectives. Wild describes the noun place. Gruesome describes the noun monsters. And misty describes the noun moors. So that should be a little warm-up to remind you of your adjectives, verbs and nouns. That's certainly nothing new. So let's move on to our next section. So let's look in a bit more detail at prepositions. Prepositions are used to show where things are in time and space. So in the yellow box, we've got lots of different prepositions to show where things are in space. Now, that doesn't mean swirling about by the moon and the stars. That means the space around you, around it. So I could say that opposite me on the table is a drink. Or I could say my legs are beneath the table. It's saying where they are in the space around me. You will use prepositions all the time without even realizing it, but you need to be able to recognize them in your sentences so that you can see when you're using them well. And then to the right, we've got prepositions to show where things happen in time. So does it happen after assembly? Does it happen before you go to bed? Does it need to be done by 7 o'clock? Will it happen during the rainy season? Yeah, so these are all different ways that you could describe when things happen. Again, I don't think there are any new words there. It's just recognizing where you can use them in your writing and where you already use them in your writing. So you're going to first of all find 15 prepositions in this paragraph and write them in a list in your book. I am not expecting you to copy out this entire paragraph. All I need you to do is write the list of the 15 prepositions in your book. If you need to, you can rewind the video and you can look back again at the list of prepositions on the previous screen if you're getting a little bit stuck. That might help you out. So I'd like you to pause. When you finish that, carry on. So let's see, did you find the same prepositions that I did? So we've got Anglo-Saxons invaded England in the 9th century. This preposition here tells us when it happened. After the Romans had left and before the Vikings arrived. The Vikings came from Scandinavia, so telling us where in space they came from, which is made up of 3 countries. Norway, which is next to Sweden, and Denmark, which is over the sea. Vikings travelled along the northwest coast of Europe, raiding the villages and monasteries. So they went to different villages and monasteries, which was where the religious people were living. And they might take their gold, they might take their food, they might take any other valuables that they could find. Viking warriors arrived on longships, tells you where they were when they arrived on the longships, that carried them through the rivers and up the narrow streams of the European cities. They would sleep beside each other, under the sail, in the bottom of the boat, as it sailed between the banks of the river. On the top of the front of the longship, there would be the head of fierce creatures to intimidate their enemies. Now you can see here for on the top, I've actually got 3 words. This is what we call a prepositional phrase, where the 3 words work together, or a few words work together, to describe where something is. So I could have just said on the front of the longship, or I could have said on top of the sorry, I could have just talked about the top of the longship, but the 3 words together on the top, so right at the very top, there was the head of a fierce creature. So you can see how those words work together to create a more precise image. So let's look at how you might be able to use these in your own writing. So the pupil is standing, something, the whiteboard. I think this is going to be a preposition of space. It's going to tell us where the pupil is. Now there are potentially lots of different options that would make sense here. I could say the pupil is standing beside the whiteboard. The pupil is standing in front of the whiteboard. I could say the pupil is standing on top of the whiteboard. Is that very likely to happen? Probably not. I probably don't want to choose that one. So when you're choosing prepositional phrases and prepositions, it's not good enough to just put in any old preposition. It needs to work for your writing. It needs to create the right image in your reader's head. So I think I'm going to go for, on this occasion, the pupil is standing in front of the whiteboard. Notice how I used a whole phrase there so it would make sense in my sentence. I didn't just say the pupil is standing front the whiteboard. That wouldn't make any sense. In front of the whiteboard. Okay, Amir is sitting something the chair. Have a think. What might work there? You could have Amir is sitting on the chair. Amir is sitting on top of the chair. Expand it into a prepositional phrase. I could say maybe Amir is not really doing what he's supposed to be doing. Maybe Amir is sitting under the chair. Again, if I'm writing a story about a naughty 3-year-old, that's what I might need to write. If I'm writing a story about a sensible Year 6 child, I'd probably say is sitting on the chair. Okay, the woman walked something the door. So perhaps the woman walked behind the door. The woman walked through the door. Would the woman walk under the door? Probably not. That seems unlikely. So think about what you might want in this sentence. What would make sense for you? I think I'm going to go for through the door. Okay, next one. The grotesque troll waited something the bridge. What might fit in that gap? Again, depends what's happening in your story. I think usually in a story or a piece of writing, a troll would be waiting under the bridge, waiting for somebody to walk on top so he could jump out and get them. Oh, Miss Beck ate apple crumble something her pizza. Now again, the preposition that I choose is really going to affect the meaning. Miss Beck ate apple crumble on her pizza. I like both of those things, but not together. That sounds disgusting. I don't want that. Maybe this time I don't want a preposition for space. Maybe I want a preposition for time. Okay, Miss Beck ate apple crumble before her pizza. I'm probably not going to do that. Miss Beck ate apple crumble after her pizza. That makes more sense. Definitely not allowed pudding until I've eaten my main course. There we go. So, hopefully you can see now how the preposition that you're choosing will affect the writing that you are doing. Not every preposition makes sense in every sentence. So what you'll do now, I've written the wrong thing. I've written Teams. I meant Class Dojo. Let's just fix that now. There we go. So, you're now going to go onto Class Dojo. There is a worksheet for you to complete. There are various different sentences about the Vikings, and there is a choice of prepositions to use. You need to try and use each preposition once. So you might need to have a little play around because there might be some prepositions that work in more than one space. There might be some prepositions that only work in one particular space. So you're going to have a play around. You're going to write in your options. Please do not write in with your finger. Please choose either the T or the ABC at the side so that you can type using your keyboard, whether that's on a laptop or a computer or on your tablet or phone. So either way, please use the keyboard so you can type in your answers. So you're not going to do this in your book, you're going to do it on the worksheet on Teams. So now you need to go away and do your worksheet and submit it. I also want to see a picture of the preposition work that you did in your book at the start of this lesson. You're going to put them both on your portfolio on Class Dojo. This must be done before 1 p.m. If you need any help or want to ask any questions, the help session... now this is a point. When is my training session today? Hang on a second, bear with. Because I have to go to a training session, and so does Mr. Raystrick tomorrow. Today even. It's tomorrow when I'm recording this, but really it's today. Let's see what time Mrs. Daddy told me it was. Yes, so there won't be a help session at 12:30 today. So I'm going to delete that. Apologies. Okay, but we will be on at 2:30 like normal for topic. So if you're having any particular problems with the English, just send us a message on Class Dojo so we know why you're going to be late, and then come on at 2:30 and you can ask us about it then. Okay. Remember to read your book for at least 20 minutes each day, and please make sure that you have a look at the work that you did yesterday and the day before, maybe at the end of last week, and reply to any improvement points that we've given you on Class Dojo. If the work's already been approved, you can just write your answer in the comments underneath our improvement points. You might not get one for every single piece of work, but those that you have, please try and go and reply to them. Okay? I will see you either at the help session at 2:30 or tomorrow.